Have you ever driven down a road that never ends? A road where no matter how far you go, you always end up in the same place. Tonight, a taxi driver will discover a terrifying truth. Some roads aren't meant to be traveled. The road that never ends. Jack Sullivan had been driving his taxi for nearly 12 hours. The neon lights of the city flickered through the windshield as the rain drizzled down in a steady rhythm. His hands tightened around the steering wheel, his eyelids heavy with exhaustion. Just one more fare, he told himself. Then he could go home. It was nearly midnight when he spotted a figure standing beneath a dimly lit street lamp. The man was motionless, dressed in a dark coat and hat, his face obscured by shadows. Something about him made Jack hesitate. There were no other pedestrians around, no nearby buildings that looked open, just the rain, the empty road, and this lone figure. Jack exhaled sharply and pulled the taxi over. He rolled down the window slightly. Need a ride? The man stepped forward, his face now partially visible. His skin was pale, his eyes dark and unreadable. He nodded once. Jack unlocked the door, and the man slid into the back seat. As soon as he shut the door, the air inside the car felt colder. "Where to?" Jack asked, glancing at him in the rearview mirror. The man's lips barely moved. "Just drive. I'll tell you where to go." Jack frowned, but put the car in drive. The meter clicked on as he pulled away from the curb. The city lights blurred past them, but the passenger remained eerily still, his hands resting neatly on his lap. Jack had driven a lot of strange passengers before, but something about this one unsettled him. Maybe it was the way he barely moved, or how his voice was barely above a whisper. "So, rough night?" Jack attempted small talk, keeping one eye on the road and the other on the mirror. No response. Jack sighed, focusing on the road ahead. The rain picked up, battering against the windshield. Street lights flickered as they passed. The city streets became less familiar. He had been following the man's quiet instructions. Left here, right there, straight ahead. But now, he wasn't sure where he was. The buildings thinned out, replaced by long stretches of dark road, flanked by tall trees. Jack's fingers tapped anxiously against the steering wheel. He glanced at the clock on the dashboard. 42 a.m. They had been driving for nearly an hour. The road stretched endlessly ahead, perfectly smooth and black, as if freshly paved. The trees on either side seemed to close in, their twisted branches reaching toward the sky. There were no road signs, no intersections, no cars. Jack cleared his throat. "Hey buddy, where exactly are we headed?" The man finally turned his head slightly, his expression neutral. "Just keep driving. We're almost there." A shiver ran down Jack's spine. The air felt heavier now, thick like fog. He adjusted the mirror, glancing at his passenger, and froze. The man's reflection in the mirror was smiling, but when Jack glanced at him directly, his face was emotionless. Jack's grip tightened on the wheel. His pulse quickened. "All right, look, I don't usually pry, but..." The man leaned forward slightly. "Do you know what it feels like to be lost, Jack?" Jack stiffened. He hadn't told the man his name. His mouth went dry. "Who are you?" The man didn't answer. The road ahead stretched endlessly into the darkness. Jack's fingers clenched the steering wheel as a sinking feeling settled in his gut. The man in the back seat hadn't answered his question. Worse than that, he Jack's name without being told. The rain had slowed, but a dense fog was rolling in, swirling across the pavement in ghostly tendrils. The headlights barely cut through it, making the road ahead feel infinite. Jack stole another glance at the rearview mirror. The man sat motionless, his hands resting neatly on his lap. His expression was unreadable, calm, almost indifferent. But that reflection, Jack had seen it smile. Trying to steady his breathing, Jack forced his voice to stay level. "Look, I don't know what kind of game this is, but I need an actual destination. I can't just keep driving forever." The man finally shifted, tilting his head slightly. "Haven't you noticed, Jack?" His voice was smooth, unsettlingly calm. "You've been driving for hours, but you're still in the same place." Jack scoffed, glancing at the clock. It read 1:32 a.m. That didn't make sense. He had been driving straight for over an hour, and yet the trees still looked the same. The road was still perfectly smooth. No signs, no turns, no intersections. His stomach twisted. Jack reached for his GPS, but the screen was frozen. The signal bar flickered, then vanished. He tapped the screen, but nothing responded. He reached for his phone. No service. A chill ran down his spine. This wasn't possible. His knuckles whitened as he tightened his grip on the wheel. This is some kind of trick. His voice had a hard edge now. A prank. The man remained still. His eyes met Jack's in the mirror. "Do you believe in places that shouldn't exist?" Jack swallowed hard. "This road," the man continued, his voice almost hypnotic. "It doesn't belong to the world, you know." Jack's chest tightened. His mind raced for a logical explanation. He was just overtired. He had missed a turn. A shadow darted across the road ahead. Jack slammed the brakes. The tires screeched, the car skidding slightly before coming to a halt. His heart pounded as he searched the road. Nothing. No movement, no animal, no person. Just the endless road and the thick fog curling at the edges of the headlights. Jack exhaled shakily. His pulse thundered in his ears. He turned to his passenger. "Did you see? The back seat was empty." Jack's breath caught in his throat. His hands felt ice cold as he turned fully, looking behind him. The man was gone. The door hadn't opened. There had been no sound, no movement. It was as if he had simply vanished. Jack's skin crawled. His instincts screamed at him to drive. Just get away from here, from this impossible place. He threw the car into drive, his foot pressing hard on the gas. The engine roared as he sped forward, gripping the wheel with all his strength. The speedometer climbed 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. But the road never changed. The fog grew denser, swallowing everything beyond the headlights. The trees blurred together, stretching endlessly. Panic clawed at Jack's chest. He slammed his hand on the horn, the blaring sound cutting through the suffocating silence. "Come on," he shouted as if demanding the world to make sense again. Then, a shape appeared in the middle of the road. Jack's stomach dropped. He jerked the wheel hard to the right, the car skidding violently. The tires screeched, and then darkness. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, Jack's eyes fluttered open. He was still in the driver's seat. The engine was off. The world was eerily still. His breath was shallow as he slowly turned his head. His passenger was sitting in the back seat, again, smiling. "We're almost there," the man whispered. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he stared at the man in the back seat. He had just vanished, Jack was sure of it. But now he was sitting there again, perfectly still, a faint smile on his face. The taxi's engine had stopped. Outside, the fog thickened, swirling around the car like a living thing. Jack's breathing was ragged as he reached for the keys, turning them in the ignition. Click. Nothing. He tried again. Click. Silence. A bead of sweat slid down Jack's temple. He glanced at the man through the rearview mirror. "What's happening?" His voice was tight, barely above a whisper. The man's smile remained. "You're beginning to understand." Jack's stomach twisted. "Understand what?" The man tilted his head slightly. "That this road has no end." Jack clenched his jaw. "That's not possible. Roads lead somewhere. Always." The man's gaze never wavered. "Not this one." Jack forced himself to breathe. He reached for his phone, hoping for a signal. Anything. The screen remained black. Dead. His hands curled into fists. "This is some kind of trick, right?" His voice shook with frustration. "Some elaborate prank." The man leaned forward slightly. "Have you tried stepping outside?" Jack hesitated. His instincts screamed at him not to. But he couldn't just sit here. He had to do something. Slowly, he reached for the door handle. His fingers trembled as he pulled it. The door opened with a soft click. A dense, suffocating silence met him. No wind, no distant sounds, just a void of stillness. The fog curled around the edges of the taxi, swallowing the light from the headlights. Jack hesitated, then stepped out onto the pavement. The air was heavy, almost pressing against his skin. He took a cautious step forward, the asphalt beneath his feet unnaturally smooth. He turned, looking back at his car. The man was gone. Jack's breath hitched. He whipped his head around, scanning the fog. "Hey!" he called out, his voice muffled by the dense air. "Where are you?" No answer. A shiver ran down his spine. He turned back toward the car. It was gone. Jack blinked, his pulse hammering against his ribs. The taxi had been right there. He had just stepped out of it. But now, there was nothing. No road, no trees. Just an endless expanse of fog stretching in every direction. Jack spun in a circle, panic rising in his throat. He was standing on solid ground, but there was no sign of where he had come from. No indication that the taxi or the road had ever existed. His breathing quickened. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Then, a sound. Soft at first, a faint whisper. Jack froze. The whisper grew louder, surrounding him, seeping into his mind. Words he couldn't quite understand, spoken in a voice that was both familiar and foreign. Then, just as suddenly as it started, silence. Jack turned, heart pounding, searching the fog. A figure stood a few feet away, tall, motionless, watching. Jack's breath caught in his throat. He couldn't see the figure's face, only its outline through the haze. Then, it took a step forward. Jack stumbled backward. "Stay back." His voice shook. The figure didn't stop. It moved toward him with the slow, deliberate steps. Jack turned and ran. The fog blurred everything around him, but he didn't care. He just needed to get away. His lungs burned, his legs ached, but he kept running. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. Then he saw it. A light, faint, flickering. A pair of headlights cutting through the fog. His taxi. Jack sprinted toward it, his legs nearly giving out beneath him. He reached for the door, yanked it open, and threw himself inside. The moment he slammed the door shut, the engine roared to life. His hands trembled as he gripped the steering wheel. The dashboard clock blinked, 12:47 a.m., exactly at the same time as when he had first picked up the man. Jack's stomach twisted as a horrible realization set in. He was right back where he started. Jack's breath came in short, uneven gasps as he stared at the glowing numbers on the dashboard. 47 a.m., the same time it had been when he first picked up the mysterious passenger. His hands trembled as he reached for his phone, but the screen remained dark. The fog outside thickened, swirling in eerie patterns beyond the windshield. The road ahead was exactly as it had been before, smooth, endless, disappearing into nothingness. Jack swallowed hard. He had just run through an empty void. His car had vanished. The world had disappeared. And yet, here he was, sitting in the driver's seat as if nothing had changed. Except it had. Jack's gaze flicked to the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty, but he didn't trust it. Slowly, cautiously, he turned around. Nothing. A cold knot of fear twisted in his stomach. Was he alone now? Or was the man still here, hiding somewhere just out of sight? Jack licked his dry lips, gripping the wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. He needed to get out of here. Needed to move. He shifted the car into drive and pressed down on the gas. The tires rolled forward smoothly, as if nothing was wrong. But he knew better. The road stretched on endlessly, unchanged. No signs, no turns, no end. Jack kept driving, his eyes darting between the road and the clock. Minutes passed, then an hour, or maybe no time had passed at all. The clock still read 12:47 a.m. His breathing turned shallow. His chest felt tight. This wasn't possible. Jack slammed his fist against the dashboard. Come on, let me out of here. His voice cracked with frustration. Nothing. Just the hum of the engine and the suffocating quiet beyond the fog. Then a voice, soft, calm, right behind him. You can't leave, Jack. Jack's body went rigid. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up as a cold chill washed over him. Slowly, almost unwillingly, he turned his head toward the rearview mirror. The man was back, sitting in the exact same spot as before, watching him, smiling. Jack's pulse hammered in his ears. His hands trembled on the wheel. What do you want from me? His voice was hoarse. The man tilted his head slightly. It's not about what I want. Jack clenched his jaw. Then what is this? Why am I here? The man's dark eyes held his. Because you never left. Jack's mind reeled. That doesn't make any sense. I was just... He stopped. His thoughts tangled. His memories blurred. Had he actually left? Had he ever truly gotten out of the car? The man leaned forward slightly. How long have you been driving, Jack? Jack opened his mouth to respond, then hesitated. How long had he been here? His head throbbed as he tried to remember. Hours, days. He had been watching the clock, but it never changed. His chest tightened. The man's voice was softer now, gentle. "Do you remember where you were going?" Jack's lips parted, but no answer came. His mind was blank. A sinking realization clawed at his stomach. He couldn't remember. Not where he had started, not where he was going, not even why he had been driving in the first place. The panic returned, full force. He gripped the wheel, his breath coming in sharp gasps. "This isn't real," he whispered. "This can't be real." The man's expression remained calm, and yet, here you are. Jack's vision blurred, his pulse thundered in his ears. He needed to escape. Without thinking, he slammed his foot onto the gas pedal. The engine roared as the car surged forward. The speedometer climbed 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. The fog outside rushed past in a blur, but the road remained the same. It stretched endlessly, smooth and unbroken. Jack's throat tightened. He pressed the pedal harder. Miles per hour. The car shuddered, but the road stayed unchanged. The man in the back seat sighed. "It doesn't matter how fast you go." Jack ignored him. His grip on the wheel tightened. His mind screamed for a way out. Then, a light. Up ahead, through the fog. A small, flickering light. His heart leaped. An intersection. A way out. He leaned forward, eyes locked on it. The light grew brighter, closer. Jack felt hope for the first time in what felt like forever. Then, his stomach dropped. The light wasn't an intersection. It was a neon sign, a street lamp, a figure standing beneath it. Jack's breath hitched. It was him, standing in the rain, beneath the dim glow of the streetlight, just as he had been when he first pulled over. Jack's blood ran cold. The taxi slowed, not by his choice. The wheel felt heavy in his hands, resisting him. The car came to a stop. Jack's body was rigid as he looked up at the rearview mirror. The man was still there, smiling. "We're back where we started," he murmured. Jack's throat was dry. No, this isn't possible." The man leaned forward, his voice a whisper. "It always starts again." Jack turned toward the window. Outside, he saw himself, still standing in the rain, still waiting for the taxi to pull over, waiting for himself to arrive. Jack sat frozen in the driver's seat, his breath shallow, his fingers gripping the steering wheel so tightly, his knuckles turned white. Outside, beneath the dim glow of the street lamp, stood him, his own reflection in reality, drenched in rain, waiting at the side of the road, just like he had been at the start of the night. His heart pounded in his chest, his mind reeled, struggling to process what he was seeing. "No," Jack whispered, shaking his head. "This isn't real. This can't be real." The man in the back seat let out a soft sigh. And yet, here we are. Jack's throat tightened. His reflection outside, his other self, lifted a hand, signaling the taxi to stop, just like before. The taxi's engine hummed. The dashboard clock still read 12:47 a.m. Jack clenched his jaw. Why is this happening? What is this? The man's gaze was steady. "It's the road, Jack. It doesn't end." Jack's pulse thundered. "That's not an answer." His voice cracked with frustration. The man studied him for a long moment before speaking. "Think, Jack. Do you remember how you got here?" Jack opened his mouth, then froze. The memories were hazy. fragmented. He remembered driving, remembered picking up the man. But before that, a dull ache settled behind his eyes. Why had he been driving in the first place? Where had he been going? Jack's fingers twitched. His breathing grew uneven. "You're stuck," the man continued. His tone was calm, almost sympathetic. "You've been here longer than you realize." Jack shook his head. No, I just picked you up." The man smiled faintly. "Did you?" Jack blinked. The words sent a ripple of confusion through his thoughts. He had picked the man up, hadn't he? Or had the man always been here? Jack's grip on the wheel tightened. "I can break this," he muttered. "I will break this." He slammed his foot on the gas. The tires screeched against the pavement as the taxi lurched forward. The road stretched ahead, smooth and unbroken. Jack's reflection outside, his other self, watched him go, his face expressionless. Jack's heart pounded. He didn't look back. He just kept driving. Faster, faster. The speedometer climbed. 70, 80, 90 miles per hour. The fog blurred past him. The neon glow of the street lamp vanished into the distance. He kept going. Minutes passed, then hours, or maybe no time at all. The road remained unchanged, endless. Jack's hands trembled on the wheel. His throat was dry. He had been driving forever, but the clock on the dashboard still read 12:47 a.m. His body felt heavy. His mind swirled with exhaustion. Then, a flicker of light ahead. Jack's breath caught. His heart leaped with hope. Was it an exit? A town? The glow grew brighter. Closer. Jack's stomach twisted. No, not again. The street lamp. The figure beneath it. Himself. Jack's hands clenched into fists. His whole body tensed. No, he gritted his teeth. He refused to go in circles. The taxi slowed, not by his choice. The wheel felt heavy in his hands. The engine hummed. Jack's reflection outside lifted a hand, signaling the taxi to stop. His vision blurred. His mind screamed at him to do something, anything. Then, a whisper from the back seat. There's only one way out. Jack's breath hitched. He turned to the man, his eyes wild. How? The man leaned forward. His voice was barely audible. You have to stop driving. Jack frowned. That makes no sense. If I stop, I'll be stuck here forever. The man smiled, but there was something different in his eyes now. Something almost sad. Haven't you already been? Jack's pulse pounded. He couldn't stay in this loop. Couldn't keep reliving the same moment. But stopping, that felt like surrender. Jack's fingers trembled over the wheel. His mind raced. What if stopping was the only real choice? He exhaled sharply. Slowly, hesitantly, he lifted his foot from the gas. The car slowed. The headlights flickered. The dashboard clock blinked. 12:48 a.m. Jack's heart nearly stopped. The time had changed. A sudden drowsiness washed over him. His limbs felt heavy. His vision blurred. He tried to keep his eyes open, but his body sank into the seat. His last thought before darkness took him. Did I escape? Jack's eyes fluttered open. The taxi was still. The engine was silent. He blinked, disoriented. Sunlight streamed through the windshield. Sunlight. His breath caught. The road was different. The endless fog was gone. Instead, he was parked on a quiet street, Trees swayed in a soft breeze. Birds chirped in the distance. Jack's chest rose and fell in slow, steady breaths. He was back. Had it all been a dream? His hands trembled as he reached for the keys, turning them in the ignition. The engine roared to life instantly. The dashboard clock read 8:32 a.m. Jack let out a shaky breath. It was over, or so he thought. As he glanced in the rearview mirror, his blood ran cold. The back seat was empty, but the faint imprint of a person remained on the leather. A whisper brushed against his ear. "You never really leave." Jack's breath hitched. He slammed his foot on the gas and drove.